Hi, good morning, and again, welcome everybody. And my name is Mike, and I'm going to be your presenter for today and in this webinar. Okay. So in today's webinar topic is about why is governance a key success factor in automation. So it's already 10, so I will start the webinar. So before I start anything, so I would just like to let you guys know that this webinar session will be recorded, and along the way, if you have any question, you can always post your question at the sidebar where there is a Q&A button. You can always post your question there and I will answer it. And of course, at the end of the session, please provide your feedback for this webinar session, and your feedback is very much appreciated. So let me do a little bit introduction about myself. My name is Mike, and I am a robotic process automation consultant at Cybiant with a lot of experience in implementing an automation process and also in RPA tools. So basically, everything about automation, it will be related to me. And basically, my main role is helping a client in starting their automation, maintaining the automation, and of course, grow the automation as well. Okay, so if you want to know more about me, I have a LinkedIn uh, address here. And of course, if you have any question, you are more than welcome to email me. So in today's agenda, it is about, we will be talking about what is a center of excellence, why an organization need a center of excellence, the benefit of the center of excellence, what are the primary mission for it, the structure, and of course, the CoE models. Okay, so what is center of excellence? When we talk about governance in the automation or in any other sector, like for example, marketing and this, people will be talking about center of excellence. And in automation, it is always a key factor of success. And then probably in your mind right now is you will ask, what is center of excellence? So before I proceed, I will start a poll, and you can probably just let me know about whether you heard of Center of Excellence. So I've already posted the poll, so you can probably let me know about what have you know about Center of Excellence. Okay, I will give about 5 more seconds. Okay, so okay, let me publish the result. So out of the people who voted, there are more people who have not heard of what is Center of Excellence, and that's great. So this is basically what is it about for today, and I'm going to share more about what is Center of Excellence. Okay, so let me proceed. So what is Center of Excellence? Center of Excellence basically is the central management for automation. Okay, and this is a group of people who like center of excellence is basically the driver for automation within the organization as well. Being driver, which means they are the person who set the direction of where the automation is heading to. Okay, and then the center of excellence is of course taking care of the quality, the information security, and the audit compliance for the automation as well. So the center of excellence can be a physical center, or it can be a virtual center, and gathering all the is a knowledge concentrating center where all the people with a lot of experience and experts is in the center of excellence. And of course, they are the subject matter expertise that they can use to support other department or the other people. Like for example, providing tips, giving training, doing research on what are the best tools to use, creating the best practices, offer advice for the business unit on strategic planning, helping them to make decision, and of course doing the execution as well. Okay, and why do we need center of excellence? Basically, center of excellence, we need it simply because they are a group of people who are expert and have a lot of experience in automation. And what they can do is they can tailor the RPA specifically fit to organization need so that they can provide the best value and return. And of course, that we talk about is about ROI. And it is also for them to, to reach out to the stakeholder and take input, take their input, rank their tasks, and to identify and to prioritize like what are the tasks that's supposed to go first and so on and so forth. And of course, the reason for that is to prioritize the task is that they can get the biggest ROI from the task that they are doing. And center of excellence is always essential in supporting the RPA adoption within an organization. They are the one who are spearhead and they are the one who leading. And of course, they will be the one who doing the sharing the success stories across the department and encourage wider adoption for the automation. And center of excellence is always a central location of a knowledge sharing solution, solution for common problem and work aids to get help started. So for example, any business unit where they would like to start automation, center of excellence is the place for them to go, is basically like to ask more about what is automation about, what are the solutions are available, and whatever. And center of excellence is basically also a team who they are always stay updated to the latest RPA trend and technology because RPA has been growing very fast. New technology will always come up from time to time. So they are the person who always stay updated to the latest trend. So that they can better advise the business unit or the organization. Okay. And what are the benefit of having an automation center of excellence? So in we are from here we'll probably put it as a CoE. CoE is a short form of center of excellence. Okay. So what are the benefit out of automation center of excellence? In short, so basically we can use the resources efficiently. So by gathering all the expertise in the CoE, so for example, high demand capabilities are people with a lot of work experience, so that the CoE can use the workforce efficiently in developing or to initiate automation within a organization, within a business unit, within like across the organization. And of course, they will be able to help to deliver the result quickly, whereby they can help to eliminate the bottleneck by increasing the speed for the delivery, for the development, and of course the maintenance of the critical business processes. And of course, it is about to optimize costs and which eliminate all the inefficient processes and decrease costs by simplifying the processes, create the reusable asset, remove redundancy, reduce or remove redundancy, and to cut short the implementation time. And the CoE can always help to improve the quality, whether it's about the services or the product. So how do they do that? Is by standardizing the best practices across the organization, whereby they enable the uniformity of service and product delivery, so that of course then the quality of the service and the solution is always improving. And it's a place whereby it gain access. CoE allowed the organization to gain access to the right expertise, so that the expert is always there and will be helping on the automation within the organization. Okay. So what are the primary mission area for Center of Excellence? So they have a few major primary mission, which involving bot development, whereby they are helping with the bot development, creating the robots, um, doing the logging, creating all the best practices, like make sure the efficiency of the robot, they have the robot are well commented, and also about the reusable code identification. In delivery, it is about the process identification. So, if an organization or a department is new to automation, their primary mission of a CoE is basically to go to reach out to them and helping them to identify what are the processes that they can automate it, and to create, to help them to maximize the value out of it. And also, it is about to find out the as is process and what is the process. We call it as is and the to be process, which how the automation will help in the business process. And of course, it is about the program management, which they are helping in the testing and the release plan, and also about the production of the robots. So they are also doing engagement, which they are doing relationship management with different people. They have to build, the relationship management with the senior management, so that they can always communicate with them, what are the return on investment out of it, educate them on the various part of the company on how the robot can deliver the value. Of course, it is also for them to communicate plan with the stakeholders about providing the overview, the progress, and also it's like about the plan in doing the expansion, if there is any. Then it is also about governance, whereby the governance is always about the mission statement of the automation, the policy, and the templates ensure the work are always completed within the a set of rules and regulation. Okay, and also it is about risk and control. It is about maintaining an evolving set of identified risks, and how can we control and to control the risk. And in operation, it is about the release management, which is what they do is about when and how do they release the robot for the business unit or the organization, scheduling the job. In doing the scheduling of the jobs, doing the logging and monitoring of the robots. And also, of course, it is also about monitoring. The monitoring here is talking about the performance for the robot. And for infrastructure management. So this is about doing the hardware management, which because uh, when you need to deploy CoE, or automation, hardware is always included. That you will need hardware. Like for example, is a hardware or is a VM or any other hardware. It is also about the disaster recovery. The disaster recovery is like, let's say if there is anything, what are the backup plan? And of course, he's talking about the business continuity as well. Okay, so then we'll be talking about who should be in CoE. So basically, you can see from this chart, from this graph, that of course we'll be starting from the executive steering committee. So basically, this is involving all the C-level management people, whether it's a CFO, COO, or CIO, and they are the person who uh set who know the direction for the business and set the direction of how the business supposed to go and how the automation is supposed to go. Okay. And of course, then we will see that there is something called RPA sponsor and RPA lead. So we start with a central CoE, which always start with like whether it's a shared service or IT, where this is the central. Okay. And as the automation is growing, then you will see that they will have more RPA sponsor for each department. Like for example, finance and accounting, operation, and others. RPA sponsor, which means in here, I'll put it as they are the business unit who are forking out the money in implementing the automation. Okay. And within each RPA lead, they will have multiple role. They have, they can have very small, where you see from the dark orange part, is basically a team, a CoE team that you're supposed to start with. Like for example, IT infrastructure engineer, the RPA developer, and the business analyst. It's basically how you should start with the CoE, the Center of Excellence, which consists of IT infrastructure engineer, RPA developer, and the business analyst. And here we are talking about individual people who can actually handling multiple roles. Like for example, you can start with one person who is doing the RPA developer and also doing the business analyst at the same time. But as the automation is growing, then you can probably start to uh, dedicated individual into individual role as the automation is growing. So you can start to have the lead solution architect, the lead RPA developer, the project manager, the lead business analyst, the change manager, and also be talking about the admin and the controller as well. Of course, this is always when the automation is growing in a bigger scale, then this is all the role that you will need in the CoE. Okay. So since I've shared some of the all the benefits for the CoE, then of course we need the model in running the CoE. And we will here I already demonstrated a few models which organization always can use. Like for example, the centralized, the partially federated, or fully federated, or we call it decentralized model. And each model have their benefits, and of course they have their challenges as well. And I'm going to proceed and to share with you what are the benefits and the challenges of each models. Let me start with the centralized center of excellence. So for this centralized CoE, so you can see that from the image, whereby the CoE is at the middle, where it's a control center and it is linked to all the business unit. Okay, and for this structure, it is actually most suitable for any organization to start with, whether it's like you are just about to start with automation or you have just a few automation in is already running right now and you are about to deploy to establish your own CoE. So you can always start with this model first. And in this model, the responsibility for the CoE is about doing the board development, doing the installation, doing the documentation, of course, testing and delivery for the bots. And the functionality is about starting and setting up automation, doing the design of the repeatable workflow to be followed in the future. What I'm talking about is, I mean, creating some of the processes which can be repeat in different processes and defining the processes and setting standard, defining processes between their reaching out to the business unit to find out what are the business processes can be automated. And of course, this is the function of the CoE is of course to establish and to practice and document all the best practices that they created. Like for example, migration, the user access management, what user can access to what folder, the directory access permission, create the documentation standard, and of course the engagement with the release management team. So the benefit for the centralized CoE is that in this model, it is easier to control for all the automation, and it is easy for the center of excellence to adhere to the governance and also the set of rules which they created. And they always can enable the coding standard which comply to the best practices, the reusability, the delivery, and the documentation. Okay. But of course, they do have their challenges as well. Like for example, it doesn't scale well. In this model, it is having a little bit a difficulty to in growing the automation because the CoE it have to handle multiple business unit at one go. Okay. And in this model, it require because it's basically kind of like when you are starting with this model, it required time for the CoE to determine what are the best practices. They have to go through multiple processes to determine that this is the best practices for the organization, for the business unit, and maybe different business unit will have different best practices. So this is where they have to scramble and to determine what are general best practices. And then they are the role who responsible for all the development and delivery. So let's say if the automation is growing, then they will have some let's say the difficulty in fulfilling all the development and delivery. And of course, this is especially when facing different stakeholder and they have to manage each expectation and priority from the business unit. Okay, then let me go to the partially federated center of excellence. Of course, when the automation within the organization scale up to a certain level, whereby probably in a range whereby the central excellence having a difficulty in doing the delivery, the development and delivery of the robots. So this is probably the model you can consider. So in this model, you can see that the central CoE, and then there are some business unit that directly link to the central CoE, and there are some business unit who is linked to, we call it factory. Okay, this is, let me share it with you that this structure is organized, is suitable for organization that the automation is scaling up. Okay, and what are the central CoE do is that they still do the development, and they still do the installation, the documentation and delivery. But at the same time, they are about to provide training, guidance, and enforce the best practices to the factory, to the new model factory. The factory is that, let's say you can always group the business unit where they have a similar business processes. Then you can put that link to the factory, whereby the factory, the main purpose of the factory is to helping to create the robots, which they are helping up with the development. But in the central management, let's say all the governance is still from the central CoE. Okay. And the central CoE, of course, there we're talking about they still heavily involved in development and delivery because they are still handling some of the business unit who directly link to them. And they are also to train the new people, train and grow the new workforce expertise for the factory, and also the governance for the factory. And the benefit for this model is basically it will help to accelerate the development, because the development is not all depending on the central CoE anymore, where they have all the factories, they can be two or maybe more that helping with the development. And in this model, the central CoE can also easy for them to enforce the best practices, the development pattern, and the deployment process as well, because the factory is still have to follow back the central CoE. And all the reusable board and packages, they can always share with among all the CoE and the factories. And of course, the challenges in this model is that it requires significant time for the CoE to train the first factory. Okay, because it is talking about getting a new workforce, taking the new people in doing the development and to enforce the best practices and everything. And the factory as well, they need to go through uh, the learning curve, and it is basically, and it takes time for them to speed up with the RPA development. And in this model, it is only work when the centralized model is already proven to value add to the organization. So they see that they see the benefit out of it, and they want to grow. And when they see the benefit, then only it can grow into this partially federated CoE. And of course, the CoE challenges in this model is about they have to split their time and efforts in the delivery and also supporting the factories at the same time. Okay, so the next one is about fully federated or decentralized center of excellence. In here, we can always see it in two ways. Um, the way I see it is, I mean, like you can, I will share the two different model, the decentralized CoE, which high maturity and the low maturity one. Let's talk about the fully federated CoE with high maturity. For this one, it is only suitable when the CoE are highly matured and is serious, and the automation is seriously scaling within the organization. Okay, and in this model, the CoE responsibility is not about doing the development and delivery anymore, but their role actually already moving to strategy planning and supporting all the federated CoE. Okay. And their main function is to share their knowledge and experiences across the factories or the federated CoE. And they basically going into the organization and to promote and encourage wider adoption by sharing all the success stories, sharing the ROI, doing demo of how the automation can help their business processes and everything. And of course, their function is also about going around the COE and to identify what are the process that is repeatable and share it among all the other factories. Okay. And the benefit for this one, for this decentralized COE is that for each business unit, they will have their own COE. Okay. So which means the automation are able to scale at a very high rate because each business unit have their and own COE, and each COE is developing bots for their developing COE for their business unit. So we can see that let's say here have 7 business unit. So at one go there are 7 bots creating at the same time. So you see that the rate of the automation scale. And in this one, the dedicated team will be taking care of the each business unit RPA development. So they don't have to like always wait for the central COE to prioritize. Maybe that their task is not so critical, so they put it at the second priority because they need to handle other higher priority jobs. But in this one, it's different because every business unit has their own team. And in this model, the COE team don't have to be very large. It can just consist of few people who uh, always doing the support and development. And of course, in the challenges for this one is that you need a long time. I mean, you need significant time to scale into this successful federated COE. And before you go into this model, it is always required to prove the success in the centralized or even the partially federated model. And the challenges is about limited resources at time when several business unit want to onboard and have their own COE. Let's say you are moving from the partially federated into fully federated, and several business want it at the same time. So at that time, you are probably, I mean, the COE will probably have a very limited resources at times. Okay. So about the next one is about uh, the fully federated center of excellence, but this is talking about the low maturity one. Okay. For in this one, it is basically suitable for a less regulated industry, whereby when these organizations start with automation, so they already kind of like each business unit have their own is running kind of like running individually, and you can probably go into this one. And sometimes when people need decentralized COE is because of geographical requirement, whereby we're talking about uh, the business unit who is not at the central place. They're probably talking about multinational company where the company is basically in different region of in the world, or maybe, and this one is also suitable for the organization or the business whereby each business unit have a very major business requirement differences. Okay. In this one, so we are talking about the COE responsibility. So compared to the previous one, in this low maturity one, so it is about the CoE is still doing the development, the installation, the documentation, and the delivery and the governance for their own respective business unit. Okay, and the functionality for each CoE is to establish their own structure and guideline, and basically they are driving their own operation in each business unit, and each CoE is doing the board development and delivery for their own business unit. They only need to take care of their own business unit. Okay, and the benefit for this one, of course, that each business unit have their own CoE team. Okay, that they have a dedicated team to handle their development, the board development, and the development always can be tailored to the business unit requirement and needs. But the challenges in this one is that it is difficult for them to scale their automation because basically the COE is only taking care and responsible for one business unit. So in terms of scaling, there is a certain level of difficulty there. And of course, it is always difficult to maintain the development standard in this decentralized model because each team, if they are not communicating each other, it is very hard for them to maintain a standard or to maintain the best practices. Okay. And very likely in this model, they will have a duplication in hardware, infrastructure, software, and the deliverables. Okay. Like for example, hardware infrastructure, uh, the software, each team, each business unit, they are using maybe they are using the same software or they are maybe using a different one, but they are taking care of their own. And this result in the higher cost. The cost is about having a lot of workforce in terms of the hardware infrastructure, the software license, and the software maintenance. Because all the duplication add up, it actually incur higher costs for the organization. And in this model, it is having a variant in different solution and skill set because each business unit is growing at a different rate so that when they want to change their model, it is always having a difficulty when let's say they want to move from decentralized to centralized so they can see that each of the people having a knowledge and skill set in different software or in different experience and so on. Okay, and the last one is about the hybrid. What is a hybrid model is that it is actually a mixture of a centralized and the federated operation model. And what are the difference in from this? You can probably see that for this one and the partially federated is more or less the same. Okay, but the major differences here is that for the partially federated is basically they are kind of like recruiting a new workforce and to train the people from zero. Okay, but in this model, the major differences is that uh the 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 federated COE, the smaller team, is basically coming from the central CoE. So they are actually part of the member of the federated CoE are directly from the central CoE. Okay, and this actually eliminate the learning curve for the people, and they can basically give a direct impact to the creation of the automation and everything. And basically in this model, of course, all the central CoE and the smaller team CoE is doing the development, the installation, the documentation, testing, and delivery as well. But the role of the main CoE is also provide training, guidance, and enforce the best practices to the federated team. Okay, and the function, of course, is more or less the same. It's still doing the delivery, the governance, and of course to grow the team, to grow the team, which to train and to grow the workforce expertise. And the benefit for this one is like it is always customizable. This is basically a customizable governance structure, and it have a very high flexibility in terms of utilizing the workforce in the CoE within the CoE. Okay, and since because the actually the smaller team is a breakout from the central CoE, it can give an instant impact for the business unit. Okay, and if you deploy this one, so you are basically enjoying the benefit from both centralized and federated model. Okay, and of course there are some challenges here, which the core mission sometimes forgot, I mean taken away when they have too much to do. And then in this one we talking about a little bit, but not so much about the impact in the speed to scale. And for an organization to deploy this one, it requires high maturity in the CoE team before they can start to break the central CoE into a federated team to support one or a few business unit. Okay, so in summary, CoE is very crucial for automation. So it's basically kind of like it's a must-have. Okay, because automation without CoE, let's say you just I just want to deploy automation, I just do, but without a governance, without a CoE, most of the time it will cause stagnant of the automation. I mean, causing stagnant, no growth or whatever. Or even worse is that it can go into a project failure, whereby until the end of the day, the project considered failed because it's not growing, it's not giving enough return of investment. Where the management people they see that this is basically putting amount of money into the project, but they are not giving any or giving very little to none return of investment. So that they all often label that as a project failure. But if you are doing automation together with CoE, it will always help to thrive. It will always help to grow. I mean, like I'm not saying about it can help the automation to fly instantly, but generally it will give the growth to the automation. And strategize and planning is always required when an organization is I mean to establish their own CoE, the Center of Excellence. And to establish Center of Excellence required a lot of time and efforts. So it is not a one, 2 day job. It requires some time and efforts to gather the people, to gather the experiences in this. But it is always giving a significant payback because when you're starting to see you are able to automate all repeatable, all the stagnant, all the automate, you are actually increase the efficiency of the business processes, and you are seeing that all the return of investment. So this is that's the time whereby you see the payback. And you can see that here I share basically four different models. And there is no one model that always fit to the business requirement all the time. And simply because the automation will grow, it is actually growing, it's actually scaling. So probably when it's scaled to a certain extent, then the CoE need to change their model, the operating model, so to increase their efficiency and to increase their efficiency and their role as well. So it is, I will always advise that always for the CoE team to to review their model from time to time, because there is no one set of thing that it will fit for every organization. Okay. Any questions so far, since I've been doing the talking for almost like 45 minutes? Is there any questions? Seems like there are no questions. Since there is no question, then wait, there's one question. Can Cybiant help us develop an CoE? Yes, of course, we are always, we can always help in developing the CoE, since, we are actually one of the, uh, we are actually kind of expertise in this, so we can always help if you are required our services in developing an CoE. What would be the first step in setting up a CoE? So, what are the first steps? Is basically the organization, of course, have the intention in creating, to go into automation. The intention is very important. So, once, the organization have the intention to move forward to invest into automation, then you'll probably start to gather a few people. Like, for example, you need to find out the people, let's say, people who like to help the organization to move into CoE, to move into automation and to help to grow the team, that we can start to gather all the people who have the knowledge, who have the strong intention to uh, set up the team, to start up the automation from zero. Then yes, that will be, I would say that will be the first step in creating the CoE. Well, and then I see that there are also questions about, are there any workshop in setting up a CoE? Yes, there are. We can always, we can always customize a workshop which fit to your needs. And if you require any workshop, feel free to reach out to us. Then we are always more than welcome to speak to you about your requirement in this one, in setting up the workshop about CoE automation, right thing. And then also, there is a question about, should internal audit or the governance people get involved in setting up the CoE as well? Yes, I would say that this is definitely, if your organization have a internal audit team or the governance people, they are always welcome, because they are the people who are experienced in the uh, governance and also doing the audit, and their role in COEs is basically very crucial as well, and they are always welcome to be part of the CoE. And in your opinion, should the Center of Excellence member be part of the project team member? What is, in your opinion, should the CoE member? Okay, in this one, Because I would say that not all the people, not all the member, but there are some member, like let's say if the RPA developer or the RPA lead, the RPA man, I mean the development manager, be part of the project team member, I would say yes, because they are the person who are basically doing the development, doing the delivery for all the business unit. So yes, I would say that the COE member be part of the project team member as well. In terms of automation licensing, CoE will provide any benefits, cost saving. I would say yes. Okay. Why is that so? Is because when you have a central governance team, let's say different business unit require they want to be onboarded into automation, so that the center of excellence will be managing this part of, I mean, what I'm talking about is the licensing for the or the software solution, because the organization already have one uh, solution, whether it can be any automation tools available in the market. But what they can do is like they can just issue a license to the business unit, okay, so that they are basically utilizing the same software and basically just with additional licenses only. That the licenses basically specifically for that particular business unit. So there won't be any repeating uh, licenses. Let's say each business unit have, I mean, take care of their own. Let's say in the uh, decentralized one, each business unit they get their own software license, their automation tools, and then each business unit have to take care of the software, have to take care of the software, hardware, and also the software maintenance. So let's say if like you have two teams, then you have two. You have five, then you have five different automation tools and five different set of hardware costs, software costs, and the maintenance costs. So I would say that in this part, if you have a central team who is taking care of all the business unit, you already see the benefit and the cost saving. Okay. I hope this one answer to your questions. And yep, we are almost there. So since there is no other questions, then again, I would like to thanks all of you joining me in this webinar. And I hope you are getting something out of this session. And thank you once again and goodbye. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.